Chag Sameach. As you know from my Rosh Hashanah sermon, I've had these notions of truth and justice on my mind for the last several weeks. And as I quoted from Pirkei Avot, the end of the first chapter, there on Rosh Hashanah, I talked about the world standing on three things, as Rabbi Shimon Gamliel's son teaches. Right? The world stands on three things: on truth, on justice, and on peace. I know a lot of us, as we heard that on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, really wanted to finish it with truth, justice, and the American way. But it didn't seem authentic. Or somehow it seemed like there was truth, there was justice, and then there was the American way. Over the last week or two, I've really been thinking even more about these notions of truth and of justice. We've all watched the television, we've all been reading the news, wrestling over notions of truth and of justice. And how, after all this, can there be peace for individuals or for a nation? Truth and justice. And as we think about it on the national level, day in and day out, we are called now at this Yizkor hour, here on Sh'mini Atzeret, to think about notions of truth and of justice on an individual level, on a personal level. And if you recall back to the loved ones about whom you might be thinking today, and as we stood there at the funeral home, in the chapel, maybe at Clover Hill Park Cemetery, or at the gravesite, we tore our clothing or we tore a ribbon, and we said, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, dayan ha'emet. Blessed are you, God, the true judge. But that's not really the best translation, though that's most often the one used, because we recognize that God is the one making these decisions even when we don't understand it. But a better translation of Dayan Ha'emet is the God of truth. Blessed are you, God, the judge of truth. And at that moment, we recognize that only God possesses truth. Really, at every moment, we should recognize that only God possesses the truth. But that's how the funeral begins. It's not how the funeral ends. And of course, even before we lower the casket and we recite the words of the mourner's Kaddish, what is the statement, what is the prayer that we say that really brings the funeral itself to a conclusion? We say the prayer, El Malei Rachamim, God full of mercy. We start off with God of truth, but we finish with God of mercy, of compassion, of forgiveness, of love. Because at this Yizkor hour, and whenever we gather to remember those we love the most, it's not the truth we hope to remember. Because indeed, as we think about our loved ones in truth, they weren't perfect. We aren't perfect. But as we seek to remember and as we hope to be remembered, we seek to remember and we hope to be remembered with mercy, with compassion, with forgiveness, and with love. At this Yizkor hour, while our nation wrestles with issues of truth, let us put truth into God's hands, because that's the only place where it can lay. And let us, for ourselves and for our family and for all those whom we love, look upon each other and most importantly, perhaps remember with rachamim, with mercy, with compassion, with forgiveness, and with love. And in just a few minutes from now, as we leave this sanctuary and go out into the world, may we try ever harder to treat each other and to treat all those with whom we come into contact in this new year with rachamim, with mercy, compassion, forgiveness, and love. Kein Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will. And we say together, Amen.